It's Tuesday, June 17th.
Hi, get on the plane. I have to be back early.
The G7 summit in Kananaskis will go on today without U.S. President Trump, who has left early for Washington to deal with the conflict in the Middle East.
Our goal is to get back to a predictable, free trading environment.
So Prime Minister Mark Carney and President Donald Trump have agreed to try to reach a new trade deal in 30 days, but they may not have the same vision on how to get there. Exchanging fire, Iran and Israel entering a fifth day of fighting after Israel first launched attacks on Friday. The very latest on this conflict just ahead.
These are collisions that are often happening on our roadways, which are obviously have a public safety impact, sometimes including police, ambulance, and fire attending the scene.
Crime ring busted. Peel police say they have arrested 18 people from a violent criminal organization that are connected to the tow truck industry. Stay with us, Canada. Your morning starts right now. Good morning, Canada. Welcome to Your Morning. I'm Anne-Marie Mediwake.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Lindsey Deluce.
I'm Kelsey McEwen. Happy Tuesday.
Lots to talk about. So let's start with the G7. The update today, U.S. President Donald Trump has left Kananaskis. He will miss the last day of the G7 summit.
President, any statement on why you're leaving the G7 early for Washington?
Well, I have to be back. Very important. I want to just thank our great host. You did a fantastic job. Thank you. And Canada. Thank you.
The White House says President Trump had to leave early to deal with the situation in the Middle East. In a social media post, President Trump writes this, quote, "Publicity-seeking President Emmanuel Macron of France mistakenly said that I left the G7 summit in Canada to go back to D.C. to work on a ceasefire between Israel and Iran. Wrong. He has no idea why I am now on my way to Washington, but it certainly has nothing to do with a ceasefire," end quote. As President Trump left, Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi has now arrived in Alberta. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky is also expected at the summit today.
I've always been a terrorist. Simple, it's easy, it's precise, and it just goes very quickly. And I think Mark has a more complex idea, but also very good.
As for a possible trade deal between Canada and the U.S., Prime Minister Mark Carney and President Trump have agreed to pursue a deal within the next 30 days. After their meeting yesterday, Canada-U.S. Trade Minister Dominic LeBlanc said talks are gaining steam and the two sides will meet again before the end of the week.
We're gathering at one of those turning points in history. I think we all recognize that turning point where the world looks to this table for leadership.
Leaders at the summit table yesterday agreed to urge Israel and Iran to de-escalate hostilities, but stopped short of calling for a ceasefire. A joint statement from G7 leaders says Israel has the right to defend itself, while calling Iran a source of, quote, regional instability. The U.S. President Donald Trump says he's hoping for something better than a ceasefire in the ongoing conflict between Iran and Israel. After making a bit of an ominous post on social media, do you see this? He was telling people living in Tehran to leave the city. And what you're looking at right now is, well, total gridlock, right? That's what you're looking at. Moving westward from Tehran, this is a social media post from yesterday. Tehran is home to nearly 10 million people. So President Trump, when pressed by reporters on what's better than a ceasefire, said, quote, "a real end, not a ceasefire, an end." On Monday afternoon, President Trump also posted on social media saying, quote, "Iran should have signed the deal I told them to sign. What a shame and waste of human life. Simply stated, Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. I said it over and over again. Everyone should immediately evacuate Tehran," end quote. Meanwhile, Iran and Israel are exchanging fire for a fifth day. The IDF says Iran has launched a new wave of missiles. Iranian media is reporting explosions and heavy air defense fire overnight as well. Now to the extraordinary moment. Israeli airstrikes hit an Iranian state news studio as an anchor was live on air. A warning. This video is pretty shocking for us to watch.
آنچه که ملاحظه کردید، صدایی که شنیدید، فضای غبارآلود استادیوم.
Wow. So the anchor was trying to broadcast as multiple strikes were hitting nearby, and then that moment happened. That was a direct hit that you can see caused debris and dust to fill the air. Iran's state media says this happened yesterday. In other news, Canadian premiers and U.S. governors say they're doing what they can to mend fences, but there are some things that are just out of their control.
Yeah, we can't control what people tweet in the middle of the night. But there are things that are within our control, and that's where we should work together.
And Canadians do not deserve the expressions of disrespect that they're receiving.
Eastern Canadian premiers and governors from the U.S. Northeast met yesterday in Boston, and the meeting was called to talk about trade, to talk about energy, and, of course, declining tourism. U.S. border states are trying to attract more Canadian visitors, but premiers are sticking to their message to promote travel within Canada. Ontario Premier Doug Ford says he's planning to host another meeting to talk about energy and minerals. In other news, Peel police say they've broken up a violent criminal organization with links to the tow truck industry in the Toronto area.
These threats escalated into a variety of different offenses, including drive-by shootings, arsons, a variety of acts of violence that spread fear and insecurity.
18 people are facing 97 charges ranging from gun offenses to extortion. Police say the group was also responsible for staging dozens of crashes on roads in and around the city in an insurance fraud operation. It's estimated the insurance fraud claims were more than $1 million. Investigators also say of the 18 people arrested, more than half were on judicial release orders. To sports news now, Canada's national men's soccer team is ready to kick off at the CONCACAF Gold Cup.
And Promise David with another steal. He's in all alone. Promise David, can he make it three? There it is! Promise fulfilled!
Hopefully, the tournament goes as well as the Canadian Shield tournament went this month when Canada lifted the trophy. Tonight's match is in Vancouver. Canada will be taking on Honduras. Head coach Jesse Marsh has called for people to come out and support the team. Other group stage matches see our guys play Curacao on Saturday and El Salvador next Tuesday. You can catch all the action, of course, on TSN. Oh, the Oilers, they need a win tonight to stay in this thing.
There is Reinhart with a shot. He scores! Sam Reinhart makes it.
The Panthers are just one win away from repeating as Stanley Cup champs. Boo. The big question ahead, boo, yeah. Thanks to the crowd. The big question ahead of the puck drop tonight is who is going to be starting in net for the Oilers, right? Calvin Pickard allowed 4 goals on 18 shots Saturday night. He'd been starting in place of Stuart Skinner, who's been pulled in his past 2 starts. Puck drop, by the way, 6 p.m., which is 8 p.m. Eastern. Nylo to the rescue.
Muy bien.
Woohoo! Nylo's a 2-year-old standard poodle. He's about to join an elite life-saving force. He's training with other Labradors and Newfoundlanders to be part of beach rescue squads in Spain. Look at the do. Usually poodles aren't part of these teams, but I've learned, historically, they have been used for water rescue and hunting retrieval in lakes. And did you know the word poodle comes from a German word, which means to splash?